Okay, Genesis chapter 6. The very beginning is extremely difficult, and I won't have answers for you. Verse 1. When man began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful. So the daughters were of men, but the sons were of God? Or were these different than the men on earth that were born from Adam's line? Verse 3, Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years. Okay. I don't like to flip-flop back and forth here. So we already said that a day to the Lord was like 1,000 years. Now he himself is saying man's days will be 120 years. Is he talking about our years or his years? If he's talking his years, then maybe he's talking about the entire existence of mankind and how long we're going to last, which would be a really long time, because if it was 120 years to him, we would have to multiply that times 1,000, and we would come up with 120,000 years. Or is he talking our years? And 120 years, he would just be talking about each person, that our limit is 120 years. That could be. I have heard of one or two people that claimed to be older than 120 years, like maybe 121, and then died or something. But when I looked into that, I found that they couldn't prove what year they were born. There was no birth certificate or no documentation. When they were a little bit older, it was estimated when they were born. And so for them to say they lived over 120 years was a guess and not something that could be documented or validated. So if this means that man's limit was 120 years to live, I would believe that nobody has passed that. And there's no proof that anybody ever did pass that from this point on. Remember, we already were told about all these people that lived over 100 or 900 years, almost 1,000 years. But now all of a sudden, Noah's born, and God sees the sons of God marrying the women, the daughters of men, whatever that means. And at that point, he says my spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. He's going to die. His days will be 120 years. Verse 4, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. That's very important. Remember that. So the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, the days we're talking about now, Noah. It says, and also afterward. Put that in the back of your mind. When the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. Okay, so this is sounding like the sons of God were not the men born in the line of Adam. This was a different group of people. They were called the Nephilim, and it has a capital N. This is a group of people called the Nephilim. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children by them. So I believe that what it's trying to tell us is that these sons of God, whether they were angels or what, somehow came to the earth, as strange as this sounds, and united with the women that they saw were beautiful and had children by them. Okay? And these children were now called the Nephilim. And they were heroes of old, men of renown. Why? Well, they must have been extra special in some way. Very special in some way. Somehow, being half of the sons of God and half of the daughters of men, they were a special breed. They were men of renown. They were heroes. Verse 5. The Lord saw how great man's wickedness on the earth had become, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil all the time. The Lord was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. Wow. So the Lord is now sad, and his heart is in pain. Human characteristics, or should I say, our characteristics are God's characteristics. Remember, we were created in his image. Okay? Verse 7. So the Lord said, I will wipe mankind whom I have created from the face of the earth. That's how mad he got. Have you ever been so mad you just wanted to wipe somebody out? Well, he was so mad with mankind that every single thought was evil that he decided he was just going to wipe them out. He's done with them. Okay? I will wipe mankind whom I have created from the face of the earth, men and animals, and creatures that move along the ground, and birds of the air. For I am grieved that I have made them. He doesn't mention the fish in the sea. We went through all of creation and everything that he did. Remember, he put fish in the ocean, birds in the sky, animals on the land, and then humans. He created man. Now here he says, I will wipe mankind whom I have created from the face of the earth, men and animals, and creatures that move along the ground, and birds of the air. For I am grieved that I have made them. For some reason, he does not mention fish in the sea or ocean creatures. Verse 8, but Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. So while God's contemplating this, somehow Noah touches God's heart. Verse 9, this is the account of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked with God. Ah, here we go. Someone else walking with God. Verse 10, Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. We were told that in chapter 5. Verse 11, now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. Verse 14, so make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch, which I believe is a form of tar. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. Verse 15, this is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Make a roof for it and finish the ark to within 18 inches of the top. So there's going to be a gap, an 18-inch gap the whole way around the ark from the wall, between the wall and the roof, where I guess air and sunlight can come in. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. Lower, middle, and upper decks. Some people assume that means 3 levels. It doesn't say 3 levels. It says put a door on the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. So maybe it was 3 lower decks, 3 middle decks, 3 upper decks. We don't know how many decks. I mean, if you go onto a cruise, you pay for the lower decks, middle decks, or upper decks. It's not like you pay for the lowest deck. Verse 17, I'm going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish. Okay, this could include the creatures in the sea, but not necessarily because, I mean, it does say on earth, and the creatures are in the sea. So does that count or not? I'm not saying one way or the other. This is just something to consider. Verse 18, but I will establish my covenant with you, an agreement, a deal, a contract. And you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. Okay, we know he had 3 that they talked about, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So now God's saying, in this boat, it's going to be you and your wife, that's 2, your 3 sons, that's 3, plus the 2, that's 5, and their wives, and if they each have a wife, that's 3 more, so 6, 7, 8. 8 people to go into the ark. Verse 19, you are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. Now, everybody that's heard in Sunday school or seen little movies of Noah's Ark believe the animals were 2 by 2, and it was all two animals of every kind. That's what this said, right? It wasn't 2 of every kind. There's more to the story. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. Nowhere does it mention the animals or creatures in the sea. Again. Verse 21, you are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. Every kind of food. Verse 22, Noah did everything just as God commanded him. Okay, now I said a moment ago, there's not necessarily 2 of each creature, even though we were just told it's 2 of each creature. You're going to have to watch chapter 7. Okay, bye.